Hey guys, Peter here to tell you about the latest from Wolfheart, King of the North, out September 16th on Napalm Records. The album has 9 tracks, 49 minutes in length, and this is the band's 6th full-length studio album. They are a Finnish melodic death doom metal band. From a design point of view, I have to outline 3 different elements. First, Skyforger, the opening track. This opening track is reminiscent of other opening tracks that Wolfheart has done before in previous records that allow you to better understand exactly what the record is going to be all about. It opens up the book. You get to see everything. All the cards are on the table, musically and vocally. It's a song that feels larger than life, that has an immediate impact on what the experience is going to be like, because you're able to see exactly what's ahead without having to take any steps towards it. Incredible opening song, something that we've seen from them before, but I'm glad that to continue with this aspect of their design when it comes to putting a record together. The second element of this design, of this structure, that has an impact is how balanced the album is, how compact the album is. 9 songs, 49 minutes. It's an album that doesn't have any breaks, doesn't have any pauses, doesn't have any interludes. There are pauses and breaks, but they are happening within the songs, not from track to track. So this brings the record together. It makes the record feel a little bit more connected, but it also gives you more of this seamless movement from the first to the last song. And then last but not least, as far as the 3 important elements of the design, is the breadcrumb approach. I don't feel like this record has a red line all the way through it. It rather has breadcrumbs spread out around the album. So you're listening to an element in the first song, and then you're going to listen to that element but in a different format on the 3rd song and perhaps on the 7th song. So sometimes you're walking down the line, you're navigating through this record, and you lose a little bit of yourself in it because that breadcrumb is not there. You kind of have to look for it, and then you may not find it until 2 songs down the road or 3 songs down the road. But when you find it, you're so happy to see it coming back again that reignites your experience, it reignites your enjoyment, and reconnects you with the listening experience and with the album. This is a really important format, is a really important aspect that allows the album on one hand to feel very balanced and connected, because you do connect yourself throughout the record, just not continuously. But at the same time, it offers diversity because you have different elements. You have the band using some of those same elements but in different formats, and this gives the album more of a mature sound, of a mature essence, of a mature presence. As far as the sound is concerned, this album feels like it goes back into the past of the band while having a foot on the future. What I mean by that is that the spinal cord, the essence of what Wolfheart is all about, that winter metal sound that we all love, is there. That is the root of this record. Everything starts with the drums and guitars, that winter metal sound, the combination of those 2 powerful elements coming together and laying down the gauntlet, laying down the roadmap for what this record is going to sound like. So you're definitely going to have that old school Wolfheart sound on this album. But then you're going to have other elements that are changing, that are that foot into the future. This is an album that's going to use pianos, keys, acoustic guitars, orchestration, symphonic elements, and obviously clean vocals. So there's a lot of new ideas, there's a lot of new elements. Some of them we've seen them before, but not in this format, not in this way of being put together, and definitely not representing or giving you the atmosphere that this album has. So it's a very interesting record from that approach, because you listen to it, the moment you press play, you know you're listening to Wolfheart, you know you're with the band on this journey. The sound, it comes across very familiar to you in terms of the experience, in terms of the atmosphere, in terms of where it's taking you, and then you see the addition of all of these other elements coming into a song, out of a song, into another song, and that allows you to see the much bigger picture of what this band can do with their sound and what they are trying to achieve with an album like this. I really enjoyed the soundscape throughout. I enjoyed that bass line, I enjoyed that foundation, those core elements that are so traditional to the band being back with the band again, and then the addition of everything else. The orchestrations, for example, on this album work really well because they were not used on every single song, they were not used ad nauseum, and they feel different to the listener depending on which track we start talking about it. In some cases, they offer melancholy, they offer darkness, they offer this almost death-like feel to how the song is coming across, making it very haunting. And sometimes it becomes the light at the end of the tunnel. It makes the song feel epic, brighter, almost cinematic, giving it more texture, more substance, more layers. Really interesting. The same element used in different ways, creating different ideas, different visions. Same thing with the acoustic guitars. It works well when you combine them with the heaviness of the tracks, when you give them, when you give the actual songs interludes by using acoustic guitars, by using a more stripped down sound. It allows you to take a break, to take a breath, without actually having to change the overall dynamic of the album, and without having to insert a song that would do that for you. They're inserting that within the tracks themselves, making the album more complete, making the album more robust. So I really like this dynamic, and I really like this sound. It's an album that allowed me to reminisce about the past sound-wise, but also see what the future is going to have in store for me. Now, within the sound, there's two things that I want to bring up. One is the drums and the other one is the guitars, because the drums on this album, as in every Wolfheart album, are the heartbeat of the sound, are the heartbeat of the band, are the heartbeat of the experience. Jonas is a phenomenal drummer. He understands what Wolfheart is all about. He is the part of half of that heart of Wolfheart, if you will. So he comes in and he does what he does best, which is ground the record, give it power, give it strength, give it heaviness, give it brutality, work well with the elements that I have around myself in order for the sound to be robust. But without him, without his experience, without his sound, without his approach, that DNA of Wolfheart is not there, and you're going to find the DNA on this album extremely quickly, regardless of how many things are changing afterwards. The foundation is there, the sound of the band is there, and that's because of Jonas and his style of drumming and the sound that he provides. Next, you have the guitars. I really have to say the guitars on this record are on par with the first 4 albums of the band. I felt like on the last record, maybe Vangelis wasn't as comfortable in his new wolf skin as he could have been, and that affected how that album comes across from a guitar standpoint. It was phenomenal, it was great, but it wasn't necessarily 100% Wolfheart. This one is. This one is in the leads, in the melodies, in the harmonies, in the solos, in everything. It feels like a more traditional approach, style-wise, from a guitar sound point of view, that we've gotten used to it from previous records. So this also allows the album to feel better connected with the past, which in hand allows you to be more creative with how you move going forward. So I love the guitar sound, I love the acoustic stuff, I love the solos. This album has way better solos than its predecessor. It's a more well-rounded guitar album from my point of view, and it goes in line with what I've gotten used to as far as Wolfheart and guitar sound is concerned. From a vocal standpoint, this album offers clean vocals, something new. My only issue with the clean vocals is that perhaps there was a little bit too much of it. I liked it a lot, but when you start getting it almost on every single song, it loses a little bit of its appeal. It's almost like if Christmas was every day. So the fact that the album starts off and the first third of the record all has clean vocals, it might be a little bit too much. It would have been better if it was more spread out, if the clean vocals were added in as a spice and not necessarily as a main driver of a lot of the songs on this record. It might be for some listeners a little bit too much in one sitting. And I think that's maybe the only issue that this album has. I would like to see on this record a little bit more scaled back, because then would allow the next album to have them a little bit more. But if you put as much as you do on this one, then what are you going to do with the next record? Either you match it or you're going to bring it down. And I don't think you want to move in that direction. I don't think you want to move laterally or backwards. You always want to move forwards. So this album, from a vocal standpoint, doesn't leave them a lot of room forward. It works really well, it sounds magnificent, but you always have to be perhaps a little bit concerned of what's coming around the corner. I know it's easier for me to say that sitting here, having listened to the album. It's a little bit harder to see the forest from the trees when you are in the process of creating the actual record. Now, I really enjoy the clean vocals. I think if you have guys on your roster, on the band, that are great clean singers, why not use them? And I think that's the idea. You have to use all the tools in your arsenal in order to make the band as good as possible. And I feel like this record is Wolfheart using all the tools in their arsenal. Not depending on one-man army alone to do everything, but rather having the right trust and the right people that are surrounding you, that they're going to deliver the things that do and the things that they do best. This album comes across more as a collective record where every single person had a say, had an input, and an important part to play in it, and not just being put in the right place at the right time to get the most out of them. As far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with Skyforger. This is the opening track on the album, and it's the opening track that I like when it comes to Wolfheart, a song that opens up the book. You get pianos, you get acoustic guitars, you get clean vocals, harsh vocals, that melancholy sound that Wolfheart does so well, the brutality of their sound that Wolfheart does so well. So this is a song that has all the right condiments. The opening, the piano opening stretches out, gives the song this eerie feeling of letting you in, slowly walking you into the experience of the track and the record. It's a song that just feels complete because it gives you everything that the album is going to give you. There's nothing on the record outside of this song that you're not going to see it in it. So you really want a track like this to open up a record. Wolfheart always does that, and I'm glad that they do because it works extremely well for them, and Skyforger is an immediate banger. It's just this track that becomes a monster within itself. Next you have Knell, another song that starts off with keys, but here the keys sound differently. While in Skyforger the keys had more of a haunting nature to it, more of a somber sound to them, here it's more of the light at the end of the tunnel. They're a little bit brighter. And then once you add in orchestration, symphonic metal style orchestrations into the track, it elevates the track. It gives the track more of a cinematic vibe. It gives it more substance. It makes the song more robust. The clean vocals help define the track, help define the different momentums of the track. And then you have the chorus with the keyboards, with the harsh vocals. The dynamic between these two colliding worlds works extremely well. This is a very interesting song because it feels like a little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde type track. It constantly moves between darkness and light, heavier in sound, clean vocals, then harsh vocals, heavier sound. It just has these really interesting dynamics. It has these interesting movements. Sometimes it feels like one is going against the other, but they always found a way within the song to make everything work and to give the listener a sense of balance and continuity, so the track doesn't feel chopped, it doesn't feel broken. The guitar solo as well on this song is phenomenal because it's the glue that holds the whole song together. It brings elements of the verses, brings elements of the chorus, it just brings everything. And as you perhaps see that light at the end of the tunnel, the symphonic elements, the piano, all of this gives you that sense of that light being there. The solo is you finally reaching and touching that light. Really important in the overall movement of the song to have a solo like this that represents the track, that represents the band really well. Last but not least, Headstones. The drums and guitars together pack the sound, giving you this thickness coming towards you, and then using the orchestrations in the background creates the right atmosphere that enhances the heaviness and brutality of those drums and those guitars. Now inserting keys, inserting the acoustic guitars, you start to see all of their weapons coming out into a song that feels very robust, that has a more traditional Wolfheart sound, Wolfheart design from beginning to end, as far as the atmosphere, as far as the sound experience is concerned, but still inserting some new elements. But the new elements are done so well. They're inserted so softly into the fabric of the song that you don't really notice them having a direct impact on how you perceive it, because you're focusing on the things that you've learned from previous records, on the things that you've become accustomed with, and that is what's going to guide you. Everything else is there to make the song bigger and better, but you're not necessarily gravitating to them, and that is the secret of how Headstones becomes such a big and powerful track. This is it, Wolfheart, King of the North, out September 16th on Napalm Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.